Come on in, folks. Come on in.
As you walk along the streets, show some love to the people that you meet. Please give an hand if you can to your fallen brother.
Hey, everybody. Welcome in. What better could we do on a Friday night than a Common Power Zoom gathering? All right.
Are you really asking that question?
No, I'm not. Nope.
Yeah, everybody place in the chat what you'd rather spend this next hour on instead of being here.
Hey, if you might drop in the chat your name and this time for fun, favorite movie. And if you don't have like one off the top of your head, just pick the one that's the most recent favorite movie. Moana. All right.
Yes, the filmed version of Hamilton counts as a movie. Yes.
Hey, everybody. Welcome in. Welcome tonight. Tira. Yeah, maybe Tira. Maybe you should be a little worried. Yes. Okay. We'll give it like one more minute here and then we'll get started. Thanks for coming tonight.
Hey, David, can you make me admin?
Oh, yeah. Okay, hey, well, everybody, welcome in. We're recording this, which you, I think under Zoom's policies now you hear when you come in. But really glad to have you here for this event. We're calling it Why We Travel at CP. And Charles and I will carry most of the content tonight, but there will be some places where AJ, Larcy, Hiba might jump in or should jump in and offer some comments. So really glad you're here tonight. I'm going to give you a little agenda here in a second, but I just want to say that we want just to kind of let you all know that we appreciate you coming, your interest in CP travel, and we're welcome questions and conversation as we go. And we're here to kind of not try to persuade you about anything, but rather to tell you what we think and why we're going to do what we're going to do. And we really want to have that be a thing, that a kind of an approach that allows you to make your decisions then with great clarity. Okay. We think a healthy organization articulates their reasons for why they do what they do, and then others can make their own choices as adults. And one of the great joys of this point of my life in terms of my career is that I'm working with full-fledged adults with all of you. And so that's really awesome. Okay, so we're all responsible, mostly. Okay, and so that's good. Charles is going to pick it up in a second here, but I just want to show you the kind of the agenda for the evening, or for the next hour at least. So what we're talking about here is travel in 21 and 2022. Our first thing is we're going to talk about our mission in action. Action is a big deal with Common Power. So we're going to talk about living it out. Second, we're going to talk what we're going to call the CP Travel Compact. This is a very detail-oriented set of procedures that we're going to implement. Many of which are already specified, and some other ones which are coming kind of online right now as we're even talking to partner orgs. And then third, we're gonna open it up to Q&A and conversation. So we're really glad you're here. We're excited to be able to kind of articulate why we are going to do what we're going to do, and we're interested also in questions and comments you might have. So Charles, it's yours now.
Hey, everybody. So this is going to be, hopefully most of you came because you're wondering what kind of detail we could provide, especially after what happened with us last week, where we had to cancel this big event due to a COVID exposure. And some of you are thinking about traveling. Other folks are for sure traveling. Other folks still are just kind of like, hey, I'm wondering about this travel element because I care about folks in the community, and I want to hear how CP is going to care for folks as well. So all those are totally valid. My goal is to get us as close as quickly as possible to the part where you just get to ask, and we get to stop guessing what you think or what you're wondering about, and you can just get to ask your questions and we can directly answer you. So we're going to try to do some of that in this first part, but we're going to quickly get to Q&A here. So we're going to start where David and I start on everything. And especially when we get stuck on something. When we get stuck on something, we go back to this thing, and that's our 3 circles. And we're not going to belabor these, but there are these major elements that run Common Power. It's what we think and we feel, and what we're going to do about those thoughts and feelings about our democracy and what we think it should look like, who it should include, who it needs to include in order to be a real democracy, how we're going to do that work together, the other generations that we're going to bring along, the different generations we're going to mix together when we do this work, to do it in the best way and to continue to do it for the years after that, including that generation there. You can hear my daughter. And then the work that we do on the ground, how we do that work, that especially has a lot to do with how we thought through these protocols, these COVID protocols that we're going to share with you, and our reasons for traveling, and the fact that we are still, in fact, travel. We're still going out there. The biggest one out of that section, that mobilize section, is that we follow the lead of our partner organizations. We follow their lead. And I think one of the major points to come out of last week's crisis, and this is staff members, it's community members asking, my mom asking, are you still going? The answer to that is really, really simple. The answer to that is, if New Virginia Majority, the partner org on the ground, if they're still knocking on doors, if they still think it's important to look a voter in the eye and deliver a message, then it's a priority for us too. And we will always, 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 always seek to show up for our partner organizations, for these voters in these states that we know hold the levers to democracy in this country. We will show up to the furthest extent that we can. And we don't mean just metaphorically show up. We will physically show up as much as we can, as safe as we can, every year, every election, and all the time in between that. What that mean last year? Well, admit that last year we didn't travel at all, as a team, as a broader community. What was the furthest extent that we felt like we could go? Well, David and I hopped in an RV. David and I hopped in an RV and traveled the country. For those of you who came on after that, this was about late summer, early fall, September, I think, and we hopped in an RV and we traveled across the country. And we drove through every single state that had a person that was working for CP remotely. That was Minnesota with Maggie, and it was in Montana with Katie and Tegan there, all the way down through Virginia, up the East Coast, up to Maine with Anita, over to Wisconsin, into Michigan with Ron, who met us out there, and we knocked on doors in Michigan, and then down through the Midwest into the South and over to Arizona. We met with our partners in Arizona. And to a person, they thought that was significant. And it wasn't just that we stopped by, is that we thought that relationship was so important, and that their fight was so important, that we showed up to the furthest extent that we could, David and I. What does that mean this year? Well, it means that folks are vaccinated. It means that canvassing on the doors is evolved. People have innovated in a lot of ways to stay safe, and they're out there knocking on doors. So we are too. So we've got these 4, and this is a work in progress. But right now we've got these kind of 4 bullet points that we're going to hit, and we're going to show them to you now. I'm not going to read through these. It's not going to be the first time you're going to see these. You're going to see them in other documents. But David, did you want to run through these, the 1, 2, 3, 4 here?
Yeah, I wanted you to. But I think we should read them, and then how about if I'll read them?
Okay, and then we can talk to them.
Then you, Charles, you say your piece.
Let's do it that way.
Okay. I'm the professor, man. We read it. We let people process it.
This is the way that we should have designed this, because this is how you do it in your lectures. I don't know how many of you have gone to a donkey lecture. Hold on, I got my doorbell ringing.
See, you see
at a donkey lecture, I was floored by this the first time I went to one, but he's got a slide up there, and it's just words on a slide. And I'm from like corporate America, you don't do that, but people love that stuff. People love it. So yeah, when it's a paragraph on a slide, it should be yours, David. Go ahead.
All right, man. Awesome. So what are we talking about? 4 reasons. And we didn't just come up with these 20 minutes ago. Okay. We've been thinking and talking about this for quite some time. 4 reasons why we think we should travel. Okay. Here's number 1. Our work on the ground, by which we mean 3 things: voter registration, learning tours, and GeoTV mobilization, has significant, tangible, and lasting impact. The fight for democracy in America is raging. We must bring as much impact as we can. Key things there: significant, tangible, lasting impact. Okay, go ahead, Charles, your piece now.
Yeah, knocking on doors is unrivaled. There is no type of voter outreach that is more effective than knocking on doors to get out the vote. And New Virginia Majority knows this. They understand that you could also call, and you could do postcards, and you could text and that kind of thing. And they are so worried that they are highly prioritizing the knocking on doors piece, because they know that's going to move voters.
And I want to put this in the context of 2020. We didn't knock on doors. The Republicans did knock on doors all the way through that election.
That's a great point.
Ethically, I didn't want us to knock on doors, okay, ethically. But I understand the impact of not knocking on doors. And what we have heard repeatedly in analyses and from partner orgs is that in communities of color, in particular, knocking on doors is essential, because it's such a relational reality. There are so many questions about voting among these communities, all right? That without someone standing there talking to them about it, they're just not going to believe it and trust it.
Yep.
So,
Okay, number 2.
yep.
By the way, Donna's put us on notice. Okay, she's got to leave at 5:45. She says we need to hurry up. Donna, I know you didn't say we got to hurry up, but I could smell it in there. It's fine, totally fine.
2, our work on the ground provides opportunities for leadership development that are foundational for next generation leaders. Transformational growth is amplified by traveling, learning, meeting and leading others, problem solving in real time, and doing it in community.
Yeah, I think this piece, we're going to let you hear directly from some people that have been activated by this or shown a pathway to them being a part of this work by doing this. And I'm looking directly at AJ Mustewe. I think she knows I'm looking at her, but you don't have someone like her believe that this is a space where she can make a difference unless she's out there knocking on doors. Well, you don't have Wole doing this work unless he's in Florida doing it alongside that team there. There are so many people that have come to this work, were convinced by someone they trust, like David or me, to give it a try, and then to do it across generations with people who are so different from them. You don't have them believe that that's going to be effective and that's going to make a difference and that they're needed until they actually go out and do it. And there's nothing like traveling, and there's nothing like talking to these voters in these states for these young leaders. Nothing.
Okay, number 3. Our work on the ground is desired by many of our volunteers as central to their commitment to a just and inclusive democracy. If there are reasonable ways to travel with minimized risk that can impact the future of democracy, we believe we should try because our community wants it, or enough people do.
Yeah, and our partner orgs community wants it too. Those of you who traveled to Florida will remember the impact that it made on that community. And there were multiple levels of it. There's the obvious voter interaction. There were the relationships with the partner organizations. But, Bert can speak to this later. Our arrival en masse, the way that we did it, inspired so much ripple effect volunteering locally after we left, that it was desired every single election after that, because they knew that we were a catalyst. And it was twofold. It was one, it was like, oh my gosh, these people somewhere I've never even been care about me, and they care about me voting in my community in this election. And then it was for folks that knew better, they were a little ashamed that we showed up even more than the folks that lived in that community. So the folks that knew better and had the means then showed up more than they had in the past. We inspire more action locally. And sometimes it's because we go out and recruit volunteers to replace our efforts after we leave.
And I know from many of our volunteers / supporters / members in our community that that experience, that opportunity to do this action is transformative for ourselves too. That's okay for us to want that. The antidote to despair, I believe, is action. Okay. Number 4. Our work on the ground is a foundational way that CP shows up as partners and allies in the fight for racial and voting justice. Common Power has time and treasure, and we are committed to doing all we can to show up in this work, especially when our partners ask us to join their fight. Further together.
David, what does this one mean to you? I mean, in the scope of us building CPE from the beginning.
Yeah, when we show up in our lives for people who really question whether we care about them, what we do is we communicate, we articulate that we are really all in this together, that we really are together. And the reality is that a white guy from Seattle, that's also relevant, a white guy from Seattle, has the ability to say to Virginia, to Florida, to North Carolina, to Texas, yeah, y'all got your problems, but those aren't my problems. So you go ahead and you just solve them. Okay. But the reality is that if I come and I follow their lead and I do the work with them, and particularly when it's communities of color and they see a guy like me come from Seattle, pay my way, do the work we're going to do, then to me, actually, ethically, there is no more important thing I do professionally. There is no more important thing than I do professionally. Those words, partners and allies, to me, they capture it.
That's good stuff. Yeah, and I think that's enough to say that, and that's really meaningful. It's one thing to give money, and it's one thing to support remotely. It's another thing to be a part of an organization that goes a little bit further. And your support of CP, whether you're traveling or not, means that you're a part of these trips, even if you're not the one that's hopping on these planes. You're a part of an organization that knows that we're going to push it as far as we can. We're going to show up as far as we can. And even if you can't go, somebody from your effort, from your community is going to go on your behalf, and they're going to make sure that these Black and brown communities know that there's white folks that are ready to sacrifice for them, to do some good work for them. That's a big deal, big deal.
Okay, I'm going to now take it to step 2, which is the specifics of all of this. And I just want to say, as I do that, as I go to point 2 here. Actually, we forgot this last summary piece, Charles. Sorry, man.
I thought you were going to bring it home, man. It does the spinning thing too.
Can you read it, Charles? I wanted you to read it, man.
This is for me. Is this for me to have a compelling kind of piece? Okay. You want to pause the recording? We'll rewind. No, I'm joking. Common Power is committed to undertaking our on-the-ground travel to work with to the furthest measure that is reasonably safe. Yeah, you can tell this is David's David's way of saying it. We will be informed and smart and strategic, empathetic and respectful. We can't do everything, but if we can do some things, we will. Yeah, we're gonna show up. We're gonna tick all those boxes. We are going to be informed and smart and strategic. We're going to look at the vaccination rates and the take rates for COVID in each of the cities and the counties that we're going to be in. We're going to talk to our local partner about how they're staying safe. We're going to get their protocols. We're going to match them with ours. We're going to do what we can to make sure people don't get COVID. We're going to plan for if people do get COVID. And at the end of the day, if you feel like you're going to be at your worst while you're out there and you need somebody, we're not going to leave you alone. We're going to be there with you. And we're going to do it. We're going to do it now, and we're going to do it again in 2022 because COVID's going nowhere and we still have to save this democracy.
Okay. Now we're going to go to point 2, the specifics. Okay. We're calling this our CP Travel Compact. It's an agreement. It's a thing where people kind of metaphorically put our hands in and we say, we're in this together. All right. And that has always been part of how we have traveled. We've got AJ's Go team. We've got the hands in. We've got this model. And in the COVID world, we wanted to create a travel compact. And this will probably exceed or last past the COVID world, but we needed it right now. Okay. And what I want to do is I want to hit the highlights of this travel compact. Okay. But I want you to know that Charles, Hiba, myself, Kylie, Larcy, Sasha, Lee, we've been working on a document that is actually called the Travel Compact. And that's just a screen capture of what is the first part of the Google Doc that it is. There are 5 sections to it. We've just covered a couple parts of the document where you would read the same kind of thing we've just gone through, where we summarize our reasons for traveling. But then you get to the point of the specifics of what we are going to do together. Okay, and that's the pieces I want to mention right now, the specifics. So first of all, we are going to pay attention to data on the ground. What do our partner orgs tell us about what they're doing? And what is the vaccination numbers as best we can get at them in a particular area? Sometimes you can get really, really good numbers, and sometimes you can't get them as well based upon the data that's being collected. definitively, in this case, our major partner organization, New Virginia Majority, has said to us without any like caveats, we are doing work at the doors. We need you to come if you're at all willing to come. So our partner org there's no hesitation on that. They want us, they need us. What about vaccinations? Well, we can actually look at the numbers in Virginia where we're going to be this fall, both for the learning tour next week that AJ and I are leading and for the on the ground field work that we're going to be doing. Here's the percent of 18-year-old and older adults who have been received at least one dose. And this is all data is collected by the state departments of health and then collated by the Mayo Clinic in Minnesota. When you look at our state and Virginia, our numbers are pretty high. We're the 10th highest vaccinated state in this country at 82%. And Virginia is the 14th highest vaccinated state in this country. When you go to the specific counties within that state, King County, we're at 86%. Fairfax, which is where as of right now, the plan is for our fieldwork team to doing their work. They're at 80%. And Henrico, which is Richmond City, where AJ and I will be spending a fair amount of time with our learning tour, is at 76% one dose. Their numbers they look pretty good here. They look pretty good. As a point of reference, we decided not to take a learning tour trip at this time to Alabama about 3 weeks ago because its numbers, although they're getting better now, their numbers are some of the lowest vaccinations in the country. So the first place we can look at is what's the vaccination rates in those states. It's just a data point. You can then actually, in the state of Virginia, because they collect their data so well, you can look at what are called vaccine breakthrough cases. We all know what those are when you're vaccinated, but you can still get COVID. That's what happened last week. And actually my wife right now is a breakthrough case. Lisa has COVID right now, okay? So these happen, of course they do. As of September 11th, Virginians who had been fully vaccinated at COVID-19, almost 5 million of them, of those people, 0.5% have developed COVID, the people who have been vaccinated. 0.02, 2 and 100ths percentage have been hospitalized, and less than basically 5,000 percentage have died. Those numbers tell us that vaccines really make a difference. They do. They really do. That informs us. It informs us about where we're going. It informs us about who we need to be when we get on that airplane to go. So data on the ground informs our compact. Always will. We'll collect as much as we can. We can do this for all of our states in 2022. We can track this stuff, okay? Second, we have developed a document called the CP COVID Protocols, which is a living community document. It is a document that has been informed by several staff members. It is a document that has also been informed by several conversations that Julia G and I and AJ have had with people going on the learning tour next week. There's a lot in this. I'm not going to go through it, but you're all going to get the chance to see it. I am going to go through just the snippets of it, not the whole thing. But this is a document that everybody gets, okay? So what's it got in it? Here's a couple things. This is the beginning of the document, okay? The health and safety of all participants, staff, volunteers, partners, and voters with whom we engage are our top priority. The following safety measures are required of all traveling with CP. Vaccination, every person traveling must be fully vaccinated and provide documentation. Health insurance and care, every person traveling is required to have health insurance and to provide documentation. Every person traveling must provide emergency contact information to CP. Look, it's a privilege to have these things. We know that. It is a privilege to have these things. And at the same time, we have a responsibility to the communities that we come into, okay, to come with us with as much health as we can bring with us. We didn't travel in 2020, partly because the state of Washington and Seattle was bad for COVID relative to the rest of the country. We have a responsibility to travel with as much health as we can, okay? Here's a little bit more in that protocols. Prior to departure, we ask you let us know if you're experiencing any kind of flu-like symptoms. All participants must complete the travel compact, and everyone must get tested for COVID before departing their home state within 72 hours of departure, and must receive a negative test result. We're actually just going to put this into place, this last piece, for the very first time when we travel to Virginia later this month, when we get this all in place for that time. You got to take a COVID test within 72 hours of departure and be negative. Last little bit, I'm just sharing pieces of it. During the trip, upon arrival at the destination, all participants will receive an at-home COVID test kit provided by us to take tests 48 hours after arrival and 96 hours after arrival. These things are not perfect, but they're pretty darn accurate. We've taken several in my family's home, and they have been confirmed by the PCR test every single time, okay? We're gonna have no contact forehead thermometers to be administered each morning at the volunteer check-in. We're gonna require all participants to wear a mask over the nose and mouth at all times, including inside vehicles. Exceptions, when you eat, you drink, or you're in your hotel room, we'll have extra masks. Virginia requires everybody above the age of 2 to have one indoors for those moments in time when we're indoors. This is just, let's say this is a third of the COVID protocols document that we've put together. I'm just showing you these examples right now to provide a sense of how seriously we're trying to think this through, okay? Going into the CP Travel Compact is also a CP Daily Health Checklist. Kylie Knowles and Hiba Muhammad have been putting this together. It's a daily health checklist where we have a set of things that everybody, when they come up to the check-in in the hotel each morning, will go through. Here's an example of some of the items. Day 1, no contact forehead temperature checks during AM check-in. Person 1 will be so-and-so, person 2 will be so-and-so. Everybody's gonna get that check mark each morning, and we're gonna go down the list, all right? Does this feel like you're going to summer camp? Yeah, it does. It feels like we're going to summer camp. But that's what we believe we owe to you. We owe that same care that a parent feels when they send their kid off to summer camp. All right. We want to be prepared as best as possible to minimize risk. We have partner canvassing protocols that Charles and Hiba got yesterday in talking to New Virginia Majority. They have their own protocols that they've put into place for their canvassing. This includes like wiping tablets down if you're going to use your tablets. I think in the case, Charles, is it not the case that in this case, we're going to be using our own phones? Maybe you could say a little bit about the protocols you heard.
Yeah. So they've got a pretty robust set of protocols for their own volunteers. Those are like the gold standard. Most of those folks are, I think they're paid canvassers right now. They're starting to ramp up volunteers, but to stay safe, there's not going to be like a bunch of shared tools that we're going to be passing around. So no pen and paper or clipboards that we got to wipe down or anything. If we did get one of those, like if one of you said, hey, listen, I can only knock on doors if I have paper or clipboards, well, of course we clean that down. The preferred method, though, is to use our own phones and minivan. And so they basically tell you the number, and then you put it in your phone, and it's got a map in there. It's got a list of all the doors you need to knock, and then you go and you knock doors with your partner, not by yourself, with your partner or your team. When you go and you knock on a door, well, first of all, we're not going to go to their offices. All their offices are closed. They are completely remote operation right now. We're actually going to start from the hotel. We're going to start work from the hotel. Our staging ground will be there. Your leadership of the team is going to be given all the instructions they need. We may get somebody from New Virginia to join us, but we're going to have everything we need to launch from the hotel directly to the places we need to head. When you go and get into a neighborhood, knock on a door, you are going to knock on a door, and then you're going to take, in their document, it says take 6 steps back. You can take more steps back than that if you want, but you're going to talk to folks from a distance that's probably more than 6 feet, maybe even from the sidewalk. And you will have delivered, in some cases, a bunch of leaflets for them that are probably, postcard type size things, or door knock handles, things that you leave behind, talking about the candidate, why they should vote, information about voting, deadlines, that kind of thing. Probably like a plastic bag or a Ziploc type thing. And you're going to basically tell them the thing that's on there. Hi, I'm from New Virginia Majority, just coming by, getting out the vote. Do you know what your precinct is? If you're not, it's right over here. Other information is in the pamphlet I left there for you. And you can head to this website to get more information. And that's it. Anything that looks unsafe, there was a kind of a margin of gray area pre-COVID where they said, it might be this, it might be that. Nowadays, if it feels a little unsafe, you just move on to the next house. So it's really, really light on the contact. And we can talk about the supplies that you need, that we think you need to bring with you, and all that later on.
So all of these apply to our voter reg, to our learning tours, and to our voter get out the vote work. The canvassing, of course, is specific to the get out the vote or the voter registration work. But in general, all of these apply across all of our travel work. Number 5 out of 6 is we have a CP 24/7 support team. This is made up of a medical doctor right now, a person who has been very involved in kind of like chronic health issues over time. We have a health expert on this team. And then also, this is Charles and me, not because of our health expertise, but because we believe, as part of our commitment to you all, that we should be 24/7 support for you. And we've had an initial run of this the past 10 days. All right. I have been on call like an ER doc for the last 10 days. And you know what? Ethically, that feels right. Okay. Ethically, that feels right. All right. So we're going to be on call there, literally there. We are going to be there. We will not leave. We will not depart. I have seen Charles go to the hospital with colleagues in situations. I have seen the care that he delivers. All right. Hopefully you all will believe and trust that we're going to be with you at every step of the way. We aren't the MDs, but we are the empathic folks that will be there with you and will help to problem solve as we go. All right. Lastly, we want to ask of all of you that you have a very clear-eyedness about this. All right. We need you to know exactly what ticket you're purchasing if you come and travel with us. You've heard the phrase many, many times that you got to be 100% comfortable with 70% certainty. We need you to be certain about an awful lot of risk and things that you're going to have to kind of work through out there in the field. And if you're not certain about wanting to come with us on this experience, we're very decided about this. We'd ask that you not come. Okay, we'd ask that you not come because we don't want you to be wondering, doubting, questioning when we're out there. We want you to be really clear-eyed about what it is, what's going on.
Yeah. So we talked about this, and we talked about this at the staff level too. Just so you know, there's nobody going at the staff level that's being forced to go. There's no one going at the staff level that is unsure about going. We told our staff, and we're telling you all, if you're uncomfortable about this, if you're not sure, don't go. Don't go. It's okay. It is totally okay. This is not the last trip we're taking. We got a whole year of action next year. There's actually a team talking about going in November. If you think that you just need more time to think, there's a team that's traveling in November to Wisconsin. So there's nothing that says that you specifically, any one of you, need to be out there. There's nothing that's going to make you more confident on the ground in Virginia. So, and this event, just in case we weren't clear about this event is not to convince any of you to go. This is not to convince any of you to go. If you're on the fence, you should not go. This is to let you know how we're keeping folks safe that have decided to go, and what our plan is going forward for all of our trips.
Here's my words that Charles just said. But this is part of the reason why I write, is because I definitively figure out my values as I write. So here's how I'll say it. And this is part of the compact. We know it is impossible to remove all impact and risk. And we know we can't foresee all the challenges ahead. But we as an organization are committed to the growth, catalyzation, and community that comes with CP work in the field. We also are committed to planning and communicating as best possible so that everyone can make their own personal choices. Please, if you are significantly concerned about traveling, pass on this opportunity. There will be other on-the-ground work in the future, as Charles just articulated. Further, traveling is far from the only way to engage with CP, and we understand and fully support every person, from staff to volunteers, making their own decisions about whether to travel. There are many considerations we know. Whatever you decide, we support. AJ and I are leading the learning tour that is scheduled to go out next Wednesday. She and I are going out on Tuesday, a day early, because we're going to go to Hood College and meet with Dr. Terry Scott and some students that have been part of Action Academy or might become part of it. But we've had a couple people that had originally said that they signed up for the learning tour, but they've decided after further reflection, they're not going to go. That is great. That is really, really great. Okay. We don't want you to not be there, but we do want you to make the decision that is exactly right for you. Okay. All right. That's it. We're ready for we're open and we desire Q&A.
We got a couple in there in the pipeline already.
Excellent.
One of them's worth restating here. So Donna was asking about the timing of availability for testing. You're traveling next Wednesday. Is that enough time? Larcy chimed in with a couple specific locations that you could just drive up to, get an appointment or without an appointment and get tested. We actually, when we learned about the possible contact at the staff meeting that we were having, and we had to cancel the event, we literally drove from that staff meeting directly to a testing site. Larcy and I got tested. Took us about 20 minutes, including the wait. And it was actually easier than it used to be to get tested.
Charles, I want to just jump in here to Donna's question. Donna, these protocols about the test within 72 hours, that is not required for the learning tour. Okay.
Okay, I will
Okay.
drive down. I'll drive down and get tested on, but I can't do it before Tuesday morning because I don't get home until Monday night.
Yep. We know that we got a learning tour going on Tuesday.
Okay.
We know that. But
Okay.
these are protocols that like 90% of them are in place for learning tour. About another 10% will be in place for the Virginia trip that is scheduled to go 10 days from now.
Great.
Okay.
We will have the at-home testing kits though for the learning tour. So that'll be something you can take as soon as you possibly can. Yep.
I just want to add, I'm looking because AJ, you're right next to me in the grid. AJ has been a proponent right from the beginning about the idea of a potential test before we departed. So AJ, I appreciate you pushing us on that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, my mom had really my mom is in Kenya right now. And so there was a really elaborate process to even get her ready to travel because of all the requirements. And so the whole like testing before X amount of time and you need to be, and it's like a 14-hour flight into Dubai and then another 7-hour flight into Nairobi. So that travel time plus the like how many hours ahead you needed to take the test. So as complicated as that was, I think it should be fairly easy for folks to be able to get a test on this side. But at the end of the day, testing is probably the most immediate way that we can decide what decisions we need to make. And so I am a major proponent of testing. I get tested once a week or once every 2 weeks because I'm around people who are immunocompromised. And so we just have to do as best as we can. And since most of us in Seattle are very careful, as you can see, our numbers are still much lower than some other places in the country. I just urge us to take that kind of care that we have for ourselves out here and bring that with us to Virginia.
The question from Karen about specific travel schedule. Karen, is that about when folks are leaving, when they're arriving and departing Virginia on any of these trips, or is it about while we're on the ground? Okay. Travel schedule usually means when you're flying in and when you're flying out. So those ones are learning tour.
sorry.
Oh, good.
What I meant was, do we know when trips will be going, say, to Georgia or to South Carolina? Do we have any like months or dates, not the schedule during the particular trip?
Got it. No, not yet. Not for
Okay.
those states. Yep. We're not. And we're not close either. It's not, we're not traveling in like December or something like that. This one for the Wisconsin team is a special one that I'd say a few of the organizing professionals on the Wisconsin team now, they've been doing it with CP for years. are kind of psyched up to this advanced trip that has kind of worked out with a local partner over there. Well, the Wisconsin Democrats, but there's no more for the rest of this year outside of Virginia.
Okay, and so so between now and January, there will be Virginia and a special trip to Wisconsin, and then we'll
That's
get
it.
an update for potential
yeah.
travel to other states. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, from now on, and I think I don't know if HIBA's on yet, but the runway for states for Virginia is really a steep one. It's tough because the teams are just put together. They just kind of got their roles, and then it's like, we're flying out, we're going. And so it feels like it's like, oh man, I didn't have a chance to think about it, and we're putting these things together. That's totally fine. That's not how it's going to be for the rest of these states. You're going to get a lot of notifications. There's going to be a lot of prep meetings. There's going to be chance for more of that. Team Virginia just had to, they had to just go along the flow of our timeline and our partner org timeline. That's not going to be the case for other states, and it won't be
And
the case for Virginia next year either.
I just want to ask one quick question.
Sure.
What are the dates that the work in Virginia begins as opposed to the dates when the education part is over?
Yeah, good question. The work team is due to arrive on the 30th.
Okay, thank you.
And the work itself, though, so they know this about our work trips. The dates that are on either end of a work trip are normally for travel. So that's the 30th is not, you're not going to be expected to fly across the country, land, and then start knocking on doors. So that allows you to like get in and meet with folks and have dinner and all that. Get a good night's rest, and then the next day is usually the work day. So the way we like to do that is like to do Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, generally for our work trips.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I see Bobby and maybe a couple others asked some things in the chat about meals. So here's an example of how we're dealing with meals on the learning tour. AJ and Julia have lined up food at probably 10 places over the course of a week or several days. And in 8 out of 10 or something like that, we're going to be picking up the food and taking it outside and just sitting in a park or on benches, or, this is what we do in the COVID world. So if this is what it's got to be in order for us to travel, then okay. All right, we can sit out there. I can eat a hamburger just as easily standing up as sitting down. So the reality is we'll do
You're
that.
so talented.
I'm remarkable in that respect. I am. It's true. I mean, this is marriageable stuff right here. Okay. This is quality and stuff.
Hey, what, man, Lisa is sick in the thing, and you're out here advertising. My goodness.
And then a couple times AJ and Julia have they've secured separate rooms for our group.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So I didn't get to
wait,
this
hold on,
part.
hold on.
Wait,
Wait,
oh man, wait, what?
wait.
What?
No, wait, the rooms thing. That's got me nervous. Like if
No,
we
I
get to
know.
oh, were you going to say something
HEPA
about that?
filters, man. HEPA
Oh,
filters.
go ahead.
So I didn't get to it in the COVID protocols, but as you scroll down, we're bringing HEPA filters with us. Okay, we're bringing a couple big ones. And then Charles has bought individualized HEPA filters for everybody. All right. This is such a dad. All right. I mean, he's like, hey, son, he's like, hey, son, you want one? And the son's like, what the heck is that thing? Okay. And so we have individualized HEPA filters, which according to the research is 90% with masks takes care of aerosols. And that's the biggest concern we have is the aerosols. So the few times we'll be inside. Oh yeah. See, there you go.
So these are the individualized HEPA filter. These are highly rated. Everyone's going to get one of these. You don't have to buy them. We bought them for you. And this is not, this doesn't kill COVID. It doesn't. But what it does, and our doctor resource told us, is it creates airflow anywhere we go. So David's going to take a lanyard and wear it around his neck like a cowbell. But I want to say that these rooms that we're going into, if we've got a room reserved or the plan is to go to a place and we take a look at that place and it doesn't seem safe, it's done. That's it. Okay. And that's like, if we go to a restaurant to pick up food and they don't seem like they're safe, we're not eating the food. Like there is the plan. There is the the plan that we've got to 70%. Okay, we've got it to 70% and we're okay with that because the other 30 is if we go there and it doesn't look legit, we are going to change the plan. We are modifying it based on the human element. Oh, Hibba's here. Hibba says she's here and she can answer some questions if
See, we sent AJ out there as kind of like a bird to see if she survived.
More
All
like
right.
a
And then,
sacrificial lamb.
no, don't start that. She's our scout. You know, we if she would have said we can't go, then we weren't going. So we trusted her initial take.
Look, it's like David and Charles are like M, right? And I'm 007. I'm like the expendable one. It's like, we're gonna send you on this really dangerous mission. Like, you got the skills to get through it. We trust you. But like, if you don't make it, Julia, you're up next, girl. It's your turn. No, Virginia's fine. And I have friends who live in Richmond. So in addition to all the CDC Mayo Clinic information that David is pouring over every day, I can just ask my friends, so how do you guys feel? They're like, we're good. It's like, all right, sweet. So we're getting information from multiple sides.
please, let's what questions do you have, folks? Bring them up, please. We have gained a lot from the conversations that we've had with people.
Well, I feel like you guys have done an incredible job. I'm oddly for me, without questions at the moment. I think it sounds like you've really, I'm amazed. It's a ton of work and you have just done an incredible job. And I am sure that as each of these trips goes forward, both the participants and the team will learn, and I'm sure what you do in Virginia will be different than what you do in Alabama, but I'm speechless. Thank you.
Do you have any sense of, like, is New Virginia Majority doing canvassing now? Do you have any sense of how people are reacting to getting people knocking at their doors? I mean, I wouldn't feel thrilled to have somebody I didn't know knocking at my door, so I'm just curious.
Yeah, this is Hiba, if you want to chime in on this too. We talked to Maya and Meredith yesterday, and we talked about exactly that. Like, how's it going? How's it going on the doors? What are people thinking and feeling and experiencing? Nothing crazy. Nothing crazy. I think that folks are not, if they don't feel safe, they don't answer the door. Well, let me say this. Things are crazy because the politics are crazy. There's always going to be someone who's kind of, shouting at you because they're like, I'm a Republican. Why are you knocking on my door? There's always going to be that like little error that you get there, but it's just, you just move on. Nobody on their team has contracted COVID from door knocking. They've done contact tracing all the way back. If someone does get COVID and they say today, to date, no one has gotten COVID knocking on doors with them. There's no kind of crazy, like, anti-mask thing going on from people knocking on doors. And their lists, I think this is a testament to the quality of their lists of people for knocking on doors. They are really, really good at making sure these are Democrats. These are Democrats that we're getting out the vote for. GOTV is get out the vote, for folks who have been wondering, been throwing that acronym around. But what that means is we're just contacting people that we know are going to vote our way and reminding them about the election and asking them if they have problems, getting everything they need to vote. That's it. That's what we're doing. And so we're talking to people who are allies, and they should be friendly when we get to the door. David's probably negotiating with his son here. Let's see if there's anything else. Oh, Hiba, did you want to say anything? On the New Virginia Majority piece?
I think Hiba just had to jump off. I think so.
Oh, did she? Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
Sorry.
Okay. Other questions, folks? Please, or thoughts?
I'll just say I'm really impressed. Like Karen, I had a lot of questions. They've all been answered and then some. And, there are no guarantees in life. And I figured I'm going to go on this trip and I'm going to take the risk and I feel reasonable about it. But you've actually made me feel a lot more confident. So thank you. I really appreciate it.
I have personally found that the terror that comes with things is greatest before I actually start to step into it and gain the information and begin to feel empowered and know how to deal with it. The candid reality is that we had a plan in place that we then had to test a week and a half ago. All right. And we are so much more knowledgeable about how we would respond and the things we need to take into account. And we are so much more prepared actually to take this risk. It's not a theoretical thing right now. It is not. There are realities here, but I feel like we as an organization have wrapped our arms around this as best we can right now. And it's time to go try. For us, that's what we've decided. It's time to go try. So we're sending AJ out again by herself. Okay, so no, this time we're going with her to the learning tour. Okay.
Hibba said her mic's not working. Nothing to add though. Yeah, I think I'll share this piece. I gave Maya a call. Maya is one of the ones that spoke, I think, at our last month's community meeting. And
she's coming Monday too, Charles, to our luncheon. Coming Monday.
Oh, she's coming Monday. What time is the luncheon again?
It's at 12 to 1 p.m. Pacific time. She's going to speak at 12:15.
Okay. I don't know. I thought your luncheon was at 5. Because yeah, it's not when people eat lunch. She's going to be there to be good. If folks want to talk to her, she's a great human being. She's a wonderful human being. She was the one who had her daughter's painting in the background. She talked about that being an inspiration for her. And she's worried. She's really worried about this election in Virginia, these elections, these seats that are up. She's worried about control of the government there. She's worried about the governor. She's worried about winning everything and losing the attorney general seat, which would mean that all the court challenges that need to happen in order to keep these laws in place and to make sure that bad actors don't do crazy things in counties across the state, that person wouldn't be able to help shore some of that up. And we talked about knocking on doors, and she herself, I said, do you go and knock on doors? Because I want to hear firsthand information. What is it like? What is it like for you? And she said, Charles, I go knock on doors and they don't even need me to go because we have enough people. And she says, I'm immunocompromised and I go knock on doors. She said that she's immunocompromised and she knocks on doors for her state. And so if New Virginia majority is knocking on doors, and if Maya, who's immunocompromised, is knocking on doors, Common Power is going to Virginia. We are going to Virginia to knock on doors with her. May not be as many people as want to go or can go. Somebody from Common Power is going to knock on doors with Maya so that she's not doing it alone. That is the difference between us and other organizations.
Say, David and Charles, you guys mentioned something about bringing some supplies that you'd share with us later. Did you want to share those at later meetings, or were you going to share them in an email, or did you want to share them now?
What you should bring? What you should bring with you?
Yeah, like were you talking disposable gloves or something like that, or?
Totally. Yeah. So the Team Virginia is going to have there'll be many times to talk in the team meeting with Team Virginia. Hibba's going to mention this again. New Virginia majority, I don't know if they're going to have a call with the team before they travel, but It'll be there's a kit that Hibba's putting together that's going to have a bunch of stuff in it. And the putting together of that is going to be led by somebody who's in Virginia, that's done canvassing in Virginia, both before and during COVID. So you're going to get set up for success there. I will say that, yes, you should bring everything that you bring with you to stay safe when you go to the grocery store. Okay, think about that. Touching the cart, all that, anything that you bring with you, hand sanitizer, gloves, like you said, mask, double mask, extra mask in case one mask breaks, that kind of thing. Everything that's like up to that point. And then there's these other things that you bring as someone who's knocking on doors, which is, okay, so you're going to have yourself and your safety stuff, and then your phone. But then you're going to have stuff you're going to hand out. So where are you going to put that? Where are you going to put all that stuff? Some folks like to have a backpack they put in, a small backpack, not a big one. They put it in because you're going to have a bunch of stack of flyers, it's like that thick, and they're about, and you're going to put those all someplace in the backpack, or a large fanny pack. I like to use a large fanny pack that's about this size, and you can see this long enough to put like a big long flyer in there. So I stack them all in there, and I put them on my, across my chest here, and I just pull them out like a mailman, and I put them on the doors. Other people, I think Hibba was talking about her friend that has an apron and it's like pre-made pockets. And she walks up to a door and she like pulls out like one of each and makes a little stack, and boom, there you go. Some people, before they go out with their like partner they're going to knock on doors with, they like rubber band these things, or they pre-stack them or whatever. So everyone has like their way of doing it. But think through all of that. Think through, I'm going to stay safe in the same way I stay safe here. So that's not alien to me. And then I'm going to have things I need to like give to people. Where am I going to put that stuff? And then I'm going to carry water. I'm going to carry food with me. Where am I going to put all those things? I'm going to be walking for hours. Some people have not been walking for hours during COVID. I will tell you, I'm one of those people, have not been walking for hours. Maybe I should have prepped for this. We'll see how it goes. But it creeps up on you, and it's a little surprising when you're out there and you're walking these neighborhoods, how thirsty you get, how your feet start hurting. Think about, do I need gels in my shoes? Those kinds of things.
We'll be bringing a ton of wipes. Charles has got 2 big boxes of wipes that we're going to take. We'll be wiping down for the learning tour of the bus each day. We're going to ask people who rent cars for the group to wipe down the car in the major passenger areas each evening. We have a commitment that we'll open all windows if the windows are openable. Okay, on a bus they're not, but in rental cars they are. So we got like this long list. You're going to add some more, which will be great, and we'll get it figured out. But the PCR tests, the home tests, the wipes, the masks, the sanitizing materials, those are all things that we're bringing. We're bringing that stuff. We don't have gloves on our list yet, but maybe we'll get those by the time, as Charles and Hibba kind of put it together for the field work team, but the learning tour team doesn't have gloves on their list.
Knocking doors. Oh, yeah, totally. Jen asks about knocking doors. Who are we knocking on doors with? I think we're going to knock on doors with just the CP folks. We have not asked a New Virginia Majority about knocking on doors with their folks. I think it's probably best if we stay separate from them for their comfort. But that is something that we did that in Florida, and there's nothing like that. There's nothing like traveling with somebody locally to explore their home and knock on doors in their neighborhood. So if we could safely do something like that, we will look for that option. If folks are looking, if you're looking to do that and you feel like that's okay for you, that's something that we will look into, because that's pretty game changing there, having that experience.
Okay, well, it's 6:06 Pacific time. Does anybody have any additional questions or comments? The compact, the CP Travel Compact, is something that comes to somebody. I mean, somebody gets asked to complete it once they express a desire to travel. Okay, so like you want to travel with Team Virginia, you'll be asked to complete the compact. The Learning Tour folks completed basically an earlier version of the Travel Compact. So we have all the vaccination documentation for everybody on the Learning Tour that's going with us. We need that. So the compact is just going to be available for people who indicate an interest in going. The protocols, though, I think are something we can share out in one of our emails. All right, so everybody can take a look at the protocols as we look at them, and you will probably have suggestions that we can add in there as well.
Yeah, speaking of suggestions, one of the things that's going to happen that we haven't talked about, but it's going to happen off of these trips, is there's going to be a bunch of folks that went on these trips. And right now, these are ideas that we've got about how things are going to be. And we're going to have two sets of folks that are going to say, like, this is how it was. This is actually how it was. This is how it felt. This is what I did. This is what I didn't do. And then we're going to learn from that. And we're going to adapt from that. And so you're going to have you're going to have some staff members. You're going to have some just general CP volunteers that are like, hey, I went and this is how it felt. And so you're going to have more information. If you're not traveling this time, you're going to have more information to go off of for future decisions. And we are going to look at our protocols and we're going to check and adjust those based on how things actually go on the ground in Virginia.
Hey, Chris Kamanishi, you're a Virginia team lead, right? Yeah. And
I am. Yes,
I understand you're planning to travel. Is that correct?
that's right.
Could you just share with us as we close it up why you've kind of reached that decision?
I felt like Virginia's sort of similar to King County in the numbers that you shared. And I trust that I'm fully vaccinated and I trust that everyone is, as you said, being very careful here and would do the same thing there. And so it's sort of just going with it. So, and I feel very safe doing this. So like you said, we'll learn and come back and share some more. And I thank you for putting all these protocols in place.
Thank you. This organization doesn't work without volunteers. It doesn't work. That's the way we're set up.
Yeah, amen to that. Yeah, volunteers who say yes, and get involved and do some good work. Good stuff, Chris. We'll see you there. Everybody else, thank you for the work you're doing now, and thank you for the work that you're going to do later. There's a lot of eyes towards next year and a lot of effort and a lot of movement that's going to happen. So if you're not traveling now, you're going to get your chance later. Many of you are leads and leaders in other places. Thank you in advance for your leadership. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Good night.
Thank you.
You.